Hello, Drama-Llamas. Today we're going to be talking about critiquing theater. Alright, let's get started, shall we? First, we got to figure out what is critique. What do we define it as? Critique, as we define it for theater, is the act of analyzing and evaluating or judging the quality of a performance. Now, there's two types of critique. The first is constructive criticism. This is a critique that's helping to improve on the performance, promoting further development of the performer or performers. Then we have deconstructive critique. This is the opposite of criticism performed with the intent. This is with the intent to harm someone or degrade or destroy someone's creation or prestige, reputation, or self-esteem. This is more like bullying. If you say things like, "Oh man, that stinks," without giving them something to work on, the idea is that it's negative when it's deconstructive. But constructive criticism is there to improve and make better, and is more positive. So for deconstruction, no. Constructive criticism, yes. Verbal critiques. Now, there are different types of ways you can give a critique. Obviously, we talked about, what is the intent behind the critique. So, when you're giving a verbal critique, I always say try to do a critique sandwich. So, we've got our sandwich here, and we got some bread, some tomatoes, some lettuce, some meat, and some more bread. Always start off with something positive. When you start off with something positive, people are more likely to listen and really get what you're saying. Follow that with an example. An example of something they did well. Giving them something specific means it's a way of showing when you were paying attention, and that's very helpful. And always having something positive to say is going to start off giving a critique very well. Then you give that constructive criticism, maybe something they need to work on as far as their performance. Following that with some sort of suggestion on how to improve, whatever that may be. Maybe more articulation, maybe a better warm-up will help you, maybe slowing down, etc. Then lastly, you end it with another positive comment, even if it's something simple as, "Thank you for sharing." That's a great way to give a positive critique, vocally. Now here are some sentence starters that you can use in all of those. So you start off with your positive. "You did a good job." You did a good job. It could be something simple as that. "Thank you for performing. That was real nice. I enjoyed that." Those are good ways to start off a critique. "I liked when you did blah, 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 blah." When you give them that, again, giving them that specific of what you liked. "I liked when you came down stage. I liked that moment." "I liked when you two held each other's hands in the scene." Giving them specifics will really help them. Then, I think you should work on, that's our criticism, I think you should work on articulation, your stage pictures, your movement, your gestures, your character relationships, things like that. You tell them what you think they should work on. And then you give them that suggestion on give them some sort of suggestion on what they should do. Maybe you should try doing more vocal warm-ups before you perform. Maybe you should try working together on figuring out what does your character want, etc. And then, again, our positive at the end. You did a good job at something different, or as in general. "Thank you for sharing." "Thank you for sharing" can be a very easy way to end it, because, sometimes we're really afraid to perform, and just knowing that someone's there to listen and not judge us in a negative way, that's very helpful. Physical critiques. So, if you're simply going to see a play, you can physically give a critique by simply applauding. Applause is a positive expression of appreciation or approval by clapping your hands. There's also a sign language gesture for applause where you put your hands near your face and you kind of span out your hands and you shake them back and forth. Then we also have standing ovation, which is a form of applause where members of the seated audience stand up and applaud after an extraordinary performance. I always say applause is always welcome. It is something you should do after any performance, but a standing ovation is something that a performer or a group of performers earns by doing exceptionally good. If someone in performance touched your heart in some way or made you laugh the whole time, then I say stand up for them. Give them that standing ovation. It doesn't hurt. It's only positive. Written critiques. So we talked about how you can verbally give someone critique. We also talked about how you can show your appreciation. Now we're going to talk about written critiques. Now, this is mainly for anyone that's we could do this in a couple different ways. The first one is notes. So a director usually gives a critique after a performance or rehearsal. This is usually given both verbally and written. When we do it, often we'll do the verbal. I'll skip over things when I'm directing, and I will post somewhere digitally the notes so that people can go back and read them and read other people's critiques, because you can learn from other people and what they have done well and maybe things that they need to improve on. Then there is the play review or critique. This is a subjective and educated response to a piece of theater. Your opinion on the play should be supported by a discussion of the production elements, that means all the technical things, and how they work together as a whole, as well as the general performance of people on stage. Usually you need to start, after like a quick intro, a summary of the play. Usually 3 to 5 sentences. Do not just copy and paste straight from online. This is probably one of the easiest ways to be caught in plagiarism, because it is so easy to copy and drop that and just see that you cheated. But 3 to 5 sentences, a brief summary. Then you want to talk about the technical elements, including the set. How does it support the story? The lights and sound. Again, how did the sound make you feel? The lighting choices. How did they help tell the story? The costumes and hair and makeup. How did they use them? Did it help you understand the character or characters? And then your personal opinion, discussing one or more areas in the theater production, what you disliked, and how you thought it could be better. There's again that constructive criticism. And if you loved it, what made you like it? You should never just be like, I liked it. You gotta tell us why. Go into detail. When you're writing a play review, you're writing a scholarly paper, which means you need to write like a scholar. And I always suggest that you write which character did you like best and why. That doesn't necessarily mean the main character. It could be some other character. It could be the bad guy, the good guy, whatever. Using acting categories to talk about the performances, which we'll discuss some acting categories. These are vocab that you can use to help express what you think. And this is also helpful in your verbal critiques. And how was the actor's performance good? Why did you like it specifically? This is an example of generally how you would lay out a play critique. You get your intro, that brief summary, talk about the performance, talk about the technical elements, and your reaction. Acting categories. This is a great thing to discuss as far as how do you give a critique? What words do you use to help a performer improve? And so they have an idea. Or what should you be looking for as far as a good, solid performance? So I'm not going to go over these very specifically, because in acting videos or stuff like that you may see later on this channel, you can go into it. But I'm just going to hit the 5 points. Voice. Vocal quality. Volume. Tempo. Their quality of voice. Their interpretation, so we accent certain words, or maybe you really slow down certain words. Articulation, how clearly can I understand you? Your body, gestures, your movement, your business that is suitable to the character, do I see that character on your body? Emotions. Or did you actually show any emotion? Did your emotions change? Did they reach a climax in certain places? Relationships. Relationships between the other characters. Was there teamwork on stage? You could tell you were working off of each other well, or that we could tell that you didn't work well with each other. 5th is projection. Were you orally, like I could clearly hear you, project out to us, and visually to the audience? Could we see you? So those are things you, as a critiquer, can use these terms and these things to help write or verbally say critiques for acting performances. Well, guys, that is critiquing in the theater, and we'd like to say thank you so much, and you have a great day, llamas.